Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Earlier this week, Claire Tippins shared a princess nickname generator, 3 pictures of her dog wearing a tutu, and 2 online quizzes, including, what candy is your dream castle made of? Claire, your sharing has tipped the sugar scale and turned into oversharing. But have no fear, princess. Geico has something worth sharing with your internet kingdom, like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance just by visiting geico.com. No magic wand required. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Howdy, race fans. How the hell are you tonight? Steve Billmyer here, your host of this week's episode of Racing with Big Sweat. Just glad to be here. Looking forward to this weekend. A lot of racing action everywhere around the globe. You've got the Formula One race going on. You've got Indy going on. You've got Charlotte going on. All of the local short tracks are running big programs. It's just a great weekend to be a race fan. Let me introduce you to my producer, my partner, my friend, the man who runs the boards and runs the show at the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, Mr. C.J. Sports. How you doing tonight, C.J.?
Not too bad. Just glad to be here tonight. Got 2 very interesting guests joining me tonight, so I'm very intrigued to hear their stories.
Oh, absolutely. And for those that haven't seen the flyers, we've got a couple of drivers on tonight that are not limited to one type of car that they race. We have a young gentleman named Joey Mooch, who is not only a good asphalt modified driver, he also races super late models on asphalt. So he doesn't limit himself there. And we also have a young lady from Australia named Sarah Walker, who pretty much drives anything that's open-wheeled. The thing I'm interested in, she is also a motorcycle sidecar racer. And she's not the one holding the handlebars on the motorcycle. She's the one hung off to the side with her head about 2 inches off the racing service. And I've never had a chance to talk to anybody about this kind of racing. I want to find out as much as I can about it. I'm definitely interested in waiting on her to call in now because, I want to find out, how do you get started in this and everything. But I've had Sarah on the show before last year, and she's a very interesting person to talk with. And like I said, she's another one. She's involved in all types of racing in Australia. If it's got wheels on it, she'll drive it. There's no doubt about that. So while we're waiting on one of our guests to call in, did you catch qualifying at Charlotte today, CJ?
Nah, I was work all the way until about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Some of us have to work. Anticlimactic. It was nice to see Martin Truex get the pole, but not many surprises other than Dale Jr. qualified, I think, 25th. So that wasn't a great effort for him. So we'll see what they do to get that car right and get him back on track. He said the car had not handled good the whole time he had been there at Charlotte. So, it'd be good to see if they get that worked out, see what Greg Ives and the guys can do to get that straightened out. You planning on viewing any racing this weekend, CJ?
I'm hoping. I work early on Sunday. I got to work all weekend. I going at 5 Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning. But I'm hoping that I'll be awake come Sunday night to be able to watch the 600. I should be wide awake at that point, and I'll probably nap in the afternoon. I probably won't catch the 500, but be awake for the 600.
Yeah, I'm kind of a fair weather fan about the Indy 500, but I definitely want to tune into it this weekend, being the 100th running of the race, and the fact that I heard they're expecting a race day crowd of about 350,000 people. They sold out the general admission spots, the standing room only spots. I mean, it seems like everybody is showing up to see that race, and that's a good thing. It's good for racing, and it's really good for IndyCar racing.
Not only 350,000 strong, but the first time since 1950 that the blackout's been lifted in Indiana, so the whole state can watch the race. I think that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder, if you're in Indiana, are you going to go try to fight that 350,000 crowd getting in and out of the track or anything, or do you go, oh, hey, it's on TV, I can sit home and watch it now? It would be a bit of a dilemma for me if it came down to that. Because really, I'm kind of like, I just soon sit home and not have to deal with the traffic and everything else. So, I don't know how they'll handle it or how they'll do it, but I would like to be there just to be part of that show, just to see all the hoopla and excitement and everything that goes on. Just, spend the whole day at the track and soak up all of the pageantry and everything there. So, I don't know. I think it'll be a good show, no doubt about that. And then bookend with the 600 in Charlotte. That's going to make for another interesting race. The longest race that the Cup Series runs as far as mileage goes. And that extra 100 miles really takes a toll on your equipment and on your driver and crew. I mean, you're doing extra duty there. You're pulling extra laps, and I'm sure it's a bit of a strain on the driver to run that extra lap, especially depending on the temperature, whether he's going to be whether it's going to be hot in the car and the driver's going to be feeling the effects of that, or the effects of having to race people, in the time limit that race takes to run. So, I don't know. I think it's a cliche, but it's still a good test of man and machine to see who comes out on top in the 600 at Charlotte this weekend. But it's a good deal that they have the All-Star race in the 600 back-to-back like they do. A lot of discussion, again, about moving, the All-Star race from just out of Charlotte, moving it to different tracks and trying it out at different tracks and everything. What's your opinion on that, CJ? How do you feel about it?
Phil, on what again?
People wanting to move the wait a minute, I'm getting a note from Sarah. People wanting to move the All-Star race from exclusively at Charlotte,
Isn't it there because that's kind of the location for everybody? This being, an event that leads up to the 600, so it gets everybody in town. and it's just kind of centrally located for everybody. Wasn't that the whole purpose originally anyway?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Combined with the 600, you've got 2 weeks that these crewmen are home. You know, since everything's pretty much based around Charlotte, the majority of the crew members live in Charlotte. So for this section of the season, they get to sleep in their own bed instead of sleeping in a motel bed. They get to eat home cooking instead of eating in a restaurant every night. And some people seem to think that, you know, eating out is a highlight. It's a great thing, and it is. Don't get me wrong, but you know, after you've done it for 100 days or so, it starts getting old. You start missing your home life. And with everything also being located in Charlotte, these crew guys get a chance to show their family and friends, you know, what they do for a living, what they do at the racetrack. You know, it's one thing to, you know, watch your cousin or something do a pit stop on TV, but to actually be there and witness it in person and being able to interact with family members, it just makes it a better deal for the crews and, you know, for the drivers to be able to be home that long.
I just don't feel that it should move anywhere because that's kind of the whole purpose. Everybody shops and all these teams are located right there. I mean, yeah, you got one or two, you know, the Furniture Row that's out in Denver, and I'm sure there's one or two other ones that maybe are not, you know, located in Charlotte, but this is kind of an opportunity for them to not only have a weekend where it's just kind of have fun, you know, it's kind of either go win $1 million or tear it up trying to win $1 million. The team owner thing. There's no real stress of, you know, if you wreck the car. Yeah, I'm sure the owners are not the most pleased, but it's an all-star race. It's to have fun. It's for the fans to enjoy. It's something different. And it's an opportunity for these drivers to have their friends, their family, you know, whatever sponsors want to show up for a fun weekend. And, you know, that's really what it's all to me about. Now, if you start changing it up and moving it from location to location, one, that kind of takes away from the whole, I don't know, I think to me it's a halfway point basically in the regular season now that they've gone to having the chase. Kind of take away a halfway point. I'm not going to say it's a relaxation. I mean, half of them they don't run. We only had, 20 cars, so, you know, half the field they get to relax. The other ones, you know, even though they got to participate in the All-Star race, it's fun, so it's not really that physically demanding. You get 20 laps break, 20 laps break, 20 laps break, or whatever the segments went. So, I mean, I don't want it to move. You know, one, because it's right here for us. I mean, you know, that's partially why I don't want it to move. It's only a hop and skip for you and myself, between an hour and 2 hours, depending where we're at. But for the sake of the drivers and the sake of the crews and the team owners and the family, it doesn't need to go anywhere.
No, they tried to move it one year to Atlanta, and that didn't work at all. Very few people showed up for it then. So I'm like you. I think it's good where it's at. I don't see, and, you know, I understand their thoughts. You know, hey, I'd like to see the All-Star race run at Bristol sometime or at another track, but there's just too much good that comes out of running it at Charlotte and backing it up with the 600 the next week. It just seems to be a lot better deal that way for everybody involved, really. I mean, it's even this section of the season has become very similar to Daytona and Speed Weeks. There's a lot of people now that plan their vacations around these 2 weekends in May. They come in for the All-Star race, check that out, and then the first few days of the next week, until the track opens back up for the 600 practice, they go visit different race teams. A lot of race teams put on guided tours now during this week because there's so many people that show up that, they want to see the shops. They want to see what goes on there. So, that's a big deal to them. They come in, they watch the All-Star race, then they go visit some of the shops. Everybody and his brothers that's in Charlotte is going to try to go to Whiskey River. Dale Jr.'s bar here in Charlotte, the fire marshal has the camp out there. So, because the crowd just gets huge there. I mean, everybody wants to be there. It's kind of like they expect to be able to share a beer with Dale Jr. or something, like he's going to be there. But, I mean, Charlotte has kind of adapted itself to the race weekends and trying to offer more and more for the fans to do to get the fans here early, and of course, bottom line, spending money in Mecklenburg County. But they do have, with the Hall of Fame and everything else, there's a lot to do now to keep you occupied. So there's a lot of people that that like to plan their vacation time around this, get out here, kick back, and watch some good racing too. So, I don't see any reason to move the race, and I don't see much effort or emphasis on moving the race either. So we'll see what happens. I don't think popular opinion is going to sway that one way or the other. I'm talking kind of slow because I'm trying to type in a message to you too. Hank, bear with me.
There's a lot of things that NASCAR is willing to make changes and toys with, but I think the All-Star, the All-Star being in Charlotte, is just kind of it's spot. That's just where everybody's used to, and it makes it convenient to back-to-back racing, being at the All-Star break and then the 600, and with everything going on. To me, it would just be, it just wouldn't make sense to move away. But like I said, with it being right there located where all these teams are and everything else, I understand fans want to have the All-Star race closer to them so they can participate in it because, one, it's a little bit cheaper of a race to go to because it's not a full race, so the tickets are not as expensive. It's just an opportunity that it is not going to be because not as many people attend the All-Star race because it's not a full race and it's not, a regular race. I had the experience 2 years, I won't say 2 years ago. Might have been last year. The last year or the year before, I went to the All-Star race. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. But I just, moving it around, it makes no sense to me because it's an opportunity for the team to kind of recuperate and get ready for the second half of what's now the regular season. Maybe before we had the chase, maybe it made a little bit more sense because it wasn't really a halfway part. It was just a week that we just got to have fun. But this we're kind of right at halfway almost, short of. And to me, it's kind of your halfway break. It's time to, it's an opportunity to, even though half the field don't have the week off, they get a chance to break. They get a chance to be at home. They get a chance, like you said, lay in their own bed for almost 2 weeks. Then it's kind of, I think they might get, one more week off for the rest of the season. And that's kind of it, if they even get that. I can't remember how the rest of the schedule goes, but there ain't too many more weekends off the rest of the year. So this is their opportunity to kind of get fully rested for about the next 20 to 24 weeks, whatever's left. I forget what week we're even in.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely a good deal, like I said, for the crew guys especially, to get that kind of break and to be able to stay home and everything. And, now it's going to be nonstop through the 4th of July race at Daytona, so it's going to be a while. It's a long stretch to start with, and it's going to be a while to get a break before they get a break again, and then they kind of need a couple of breaks in the summer just for that long stretch that starts in August and runs through pretty much the rest of the season. So I don't know. I just like having the show in Charlotte, to tell you the truth. It used to be one of the best nights at Charlotte at this time was pole night, when they used to qualify in the evening for the 600. So we're having trouble getting Sarah connected with us from Australia.
I just sent you a message, Steve. Actually, if you can send me her number, what I'll try to do is BTR, the studio itself, lets us call out, and you send me her number, and I'll see. Well, I'll dial it, and we'll all hear her, obviously, it ringing. But I'll try to see if BTR will let us actually call her number from the studio. So send that over to me, and we'll see what happens with that.
All right. Let me send her a message. Oh, geez, what a night. But that's what happens when you're, I guess, dealing international. It's a new deal to me. Hell, I can't even call out of state without having trouble. So, trust us, folks. We're trying to get this taken care of. Let's see, what else is going on in racing now? I noticed IHRA, they had a funny car driver that turned the fastest time to run through the 1,000-foot mark now that they run. And it was a funny car outrunning the top fuel car and everything else by setting that quick time. That was pretty impressive that these cars get up and go that quick. They hook up and they go and they're done in less than 4 seconds. So that's gotten pretty impressive too. Tell us what you've got going on for a minute while I try to get this hooked up with Sarah.
If you guys missed the shows earlier this week, I tell you what, we had a star-studded week over the 110 Nations sports show. Yesterday we had Jennifer Jo Cobb join us. On Tuesday we had Noah Gregston. He drives for the K&M Pro East and West. He's actually trying to see if he can be, he believes he would be the first driver to do it, win the championship in the East and the West in the same season. We also had Sheldon Creed from Lyra Motorsports join us. On Monday, we had Mari Williams. He drives for the autism team. He is autistic himself and got to listen to his story, which was really a great story to listen to. And then we also had join us on Monday night. So we had a star-studded week. And, of course, Steve joined us. Mike Perricone, host of Friday Night Hot Lap with Stats. We had Shorty in the house. We had Izzo in the house. I tell you what, if you missed this week, you need to make sure right here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, you go back and check out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the 110 Nation Sports, the 110 Nation Sports Show. Like I said, tomorrow night we got Hot Laps with Stats. Perricone, he's got 3 guests joining him tomorrow night. Kicks off at 8 o'clock. Make sure you guys tune in for that. Saturday at noon, we got the Happy Hour Grind. Sunday, right here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, we are releasing a new show, our summer show, the Dirt Talk Hour. Things didn't work out with that show. And as a matter of fact, while you was talking, Steve, that's what I was taking care of the other end. As one of the hosts, was trying to find out what was going on, not the one that you talked to, but the other one, and getting an apology, and he didn't know any of this was going on. So, I'm trying to wade through all that right now. But What we're going to have is probably, I have not came up with the name of it yet, but I think it's going to be something along the lines of Sunday Conversation with Mr.C.J. Sports. And what I'm going to do is it'll be about an hour-long show, and we're just going to hit on different topics. If it be something like, should the All-Star race be moved, or Pete Rose should he be in the Hall of Fame, or just different topics. And Shorty is going to sit down. She's going to ask me a bunch of questions, and I'm going to give my personal thoughts. And it's going to be on one topic, just in-depth thought, in-depth into a certain topic, whatever topic that week, and just give an opportunity to kind of let my thoughts go out and let my thoughts be heard on these big topics that are going on in the sports world. It could be PEDs, just different things that are going on in the sports world that I just really want to touch on. And that's kind of what I'm tinkering with. I know we got a couple other options out there. I know Mike's got somebody in the works that we could have. I know you're reaching out to somebody we might have. So it's one of those things that this week might be the only show we do of that, because we might come up with other things. But that's what we're looking at this Sunday, just kind of fill that spot until we get something that we decide is going to be permanent there. Make sure you guys check us out on Facebook. You can check me out you can check the 110 Nation out, 110 Nation Sports, and you can check us out on Twitter at 110 Nation. And check out our blog site. We got a lot of press releases. I want to thank Snafu Seasoning for being the official sponsor of this show. You guys can check them out at snafuseasoning.com. And I know I get a laugh out of this when I do it on the 110 Nation Sports Show. And I'm going to do the same thing as I do it when I do it on my show, because I'm like a high school kid at heart. Even though I'm almost 40 years old, I can't resist every time I do this. Check them out at snafuseasoning.com. That's N-A-F-U seasoning.com. Yes, I can do it. All natural ingredients, no preservatives. It's great on everything. As a matter of fact, you're listening to the show. If you call and participate on the show on Thursday nights, Steve will hook you up with a bottle of it. So make sure you guys check them out, support them. They support us. Make sure you, like I said, I also want to thank all the race teams, all the PRs that we have relationships with, and all the organizations. We just expanded it into a couple other new teams that are giving us their press releases to put on our site. I got to thank all you guys, because all these different teams that we're involved with, showing their support for the 110 Nation and giving us an opportunity to continue to grow and give us their athletes, their drivers, whatever the case may be, to come on the show means a lot to myself, Ms. Lee, Steve, Mike, everybody that's involved, Shorty that's involved with the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. I want to make sure I thank you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So Mr. Jimmy Haywood, the man behind Snafu Seasoning, has been a really good friend to me, somebody I'm glad that I know. And like CJ said, it's all natural, no preservatives, nothing in there that you can't pronounce, which is, to me, is always a good thing. So check it out. Like we said, if you just call in and, make a comment or ask a question or something, I'll be more than happy to send you a full-size bottle for you to try and, let your family try, friends try, and try to get the word out about this stuff. It's really good.
One of these days, Steve's got to send me a bottle. Wink, wink. I'm getting ready to dial right. So you're getting right here.
I haven't got you a bottle of it yet.
No, you got my address, but I don't think you ever made it to actually getting me in the mailbox, because I never got a bottle of it. I'd have to give you a new address now, but I'm gonna go ahead and dial her number. I'm dialing her number right now. You're getting ready to hear it ring. So listen out for this.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to get her on my phone.
The telephone number you have dialed is temporarily not in service.
El número de teléfono que usted ha marcado temporalmente no está en servicio.
Message 3. Switch.
Hey, I hung up. We sure you had that number right, Steve?
Yeah. I'm cross-referencing right now.
I got too many digits. Is it supposed to be that many digits? Maybe that's where I screwed up.
I noticed that too when I first got it, and I was thinking, well, maybe
the number you have dialed has not been recognized. Please try again.
Yeah, I added the other number to it, and it said not recognized.
There's an international code that you got to dial first. to even get the call to go outside the United States. I'm glad all you people listening tuned in for this. I mean, I'm sure it's not much going on, but we are trying to get things done here. Oh, man. Geez, I can't remember what the international code is. I think it's 011 to make a call outside the United States. I've dialed it before.
The number you have dialed has not been recognized.
No, that 01 didn't work either. I tried that too.
Let me see. I'm standing here. I've got two numbers here that she sent me. Damn, I don't know what's going on. This is kind of over my head in case you couldn't tell. Change eliminate the second number.
So
eliminate the 1. Yeah. Change it to 643, and that'll get the amount of numbers right. And
the number you are calling is temporarily unavailable. Please try.
That didn't work either.
No. Well, let me send you the first number she sent me and see if you can get it to go through. I hate this is happening because I really wanted to talk to her. Let's see. Try that one. See if that one comes up.
The number you have dialed has not been recognized. Please try again.
No. I don't know if it's just because it's an Australian number and or wherever she's at, and it's just not recognizing it, or if it's not a good number. It might just be it's not recognizing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
it's my bad because I don't remember, having a problem with her being on last year when she was on the show. I don't recall us having any problems, so I didn't really try ahead or look ahead to tonight to make sure I could get through on this number and everything, or she wouldn't have any trouble getting through to us. Oh, geez. Well, welcome to live radio, folks. This is the kind of shit that happens sometimes. You just got to kind of bear with us. We'll get it figured out one way or the other. If nothing else, we'll have her on next week. We'll get this worked out and get her back on next week if we can. But yeah, I would definitely like to talk to her. Like I said, I'm pretty interested in that sidecar deal. And truth be known, I'd like to meet her in person, really, just to kind of pick her brain on that type of racing and everything, and really get to know her. I don't see me going to Australia anytime soon. When my dad passed away, and
the number you have dialed has not been recognized. Please try again.
We made the decision not to race anymore, so we sold off all our race cars and all our equipment and everything. And I had serious thoughts about going to Australia then because not only is sprint car and open wheel racing big there, but at the time, stock car racing and the Super V8 cars were a big deal too. So I had wanted to go to Australia and, work there in racing and see what type of a different experience it would be. But I knew if I went, I was going to have to maintain a return flight plane ticket, in case something happened and I needed to come back, or, I got lonely or couldn't handle it and wanted to come back. But I had made a serious effort. I talked to some people, and I had things pretty well lined up, but in the end, I just kind of chickened out. I didn't pursue it. And now I've wore out a pair of shoes kicking myself in the ass for not going when I had the opportunity. But racing's pretty big down there in Australia, especially sprint car racing. I've had a couple of guests on the show that had made friends with some of the racers in Australia, and they would swap rides back and forth. And this is one of the ways that I got in touch and involved with Sarah Walker was there was a sprint car driver, Wes Irwin, who's also been a guest on the show. But Wes had a deal with Sarah that during their racing season, he would go down there and she would let him drive her car and race against the local talent down in Australia, and that was a pretty good deal to have. And I would think that would be a cool deal. The seasons are backwards down there, so our racing season is cranking up and it's getting warmer. Well, in Australia, their racing is pretty much ended for the year, and it's starting to get the temperature starting to drop. So if there was a way, if you really wanted to race year round, that would be the way to do it. I was trying to think. I think it was Dave Blaney was one that was very big on going down there and racing in Australia in the off season from here. So it's a cool deal. Damn, I ain't getting nothing from the phone either. Oh well, folks, I apologize, or as they used to say, technical difficulties. Please stand by. Well, I'm trying to send a message now. Excuse me. To our other guest. He's a little late calling in, so just not one of those nights, Oh, well. But, like I said, this is live radio, so this is the stuff you get. Since we ain't got anything else going on right now, let me stir the pot a little bit. It's become noticeable that Jeff Gordon is really starting to fit in the broadcast booth. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say he makes DW look bad, but Jeff definitely seems to be more of a presence now than DW. And I wonder how far that's going to go. How far do you think that's going to go? My way of thinking is Larry McReynolds is way underutilized at Fox. And, I would, from my personal viewpoint, I would rather see Larry Mack than DW in the booth. I think it would be a better combination. Having a driver and a crew chief there instead of having two drivers commenting on what's going on. What's your thoughts on that?
Not only that, I think because of the gap from when TW raced and where NASCAR is now, is making it hard for him to really relate to what's going on. And at best, he's guessing at this point. Jeff Gordon just came out of that car last year, and unfortunately for the fans, he got an opportunity to experience the new downforce package as well. So Jeff Gordon has all this new insight and all this information, and is able to relate to the fans and give the fans an opportunity to kind of know what's really going on inside those cars. I think CW, he's been up in the booth for so long. Those cars have changed about 20 times since he started, being in that booth. And it just, he's not adapted with the change, with his personality. He's still the same boogity that he was from day one. But also, he's not able to relate because he's not in the car. Larry Mack, even though he's not in the car and has not been a crew chief, he's down there in the garage area. So once you're a mechanic, you're always a mechanic, and you can always, adjust and pick up on what's new and how to, relate to the fans. But when you're a driver and you're out of that car, once these changes keep happening, you can only relate so much because you don't know really what's going on in those cars anymore.
Yeah, that was one thing Harry Hyde used to tell me. There's no smoke and mirrors, no black magic to setting up a race car. It pretty much, in a situation, the car is going to react the same constantly. So you stay more relevant being Larry Mack because, handling-wise and suspension-wise and stuff like that, nothing much is changing. So you can relate more of your experience back to the listeners and the viewers. Where, like you said, DW has been out of the car for a while and kind of falling behind. Speaking of new suspension ideas, Joey Logano, during practice, went through the corner and flung the left rear spring out from under the car. And, of course, before he could get back to his pit stall at the entrance to the garage area, the NASCAR officials stopped him and started looking over his car to find out why that spring came out from under it. And I would imagine we'd hear something about that maybe tomorrow, about what NASCAR found and what they're going to do about that. I think my feeling is that when the car goes into the corner, that they have it built some way that the rear end will skew as the weight transfers. And this is, by skewing, I mean that, make sure I can explain this right. The rear end, when you decelerate, when you let off of the gas, the right rear tire will track ahead of the left rear tire to cock the rear end that way, and that'll tighten the car up with the right rear leading. And so that helps the car. It tightens the car up a little bit on entrance, and then when you accelerate, it pulls that right rear tire back, which cocks the rear end the other way and loosens the car up a little bit coming off the corner. And I saw in a post today, NASCAR was really going to crack down on teams skewing the rear end, and you can see it a lot of times. This ties in with the car crab walking down the straightaway, where the rear end is cocked out to the side, and the car is not tracking in a straight line. It's cocked toward the left to make it corner better. So I think what happened with Logano was when the car went in the corner and the centrifugal force shifted the weight to the right side of the car, that loads the right rear spring and unloads the left rear spring. And without any load on the left rear spring, there's nothing to hold that left rear spring in the spring perch itself except for a small cage that's attached to the upper mounting plate of the spring bucket that sits down inside the middle of the rear spring, and that's kind of what holds that spring in place when it's unloaded, but it's not made to hold much. It's mainly so when you jack up one side of the car, it keeps the side that you're jacking up and unloading, it keeps that spring from just falling out. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what NASCAR finds out and what they decide to do about it and everything. And that was an unusual thing. I've never heard of that happening before, but everybody's ahead of the game one way or the other. So, like I said, you learn something new every day.
Now, I know that some of the fans were kind of drawn away from the All-Star race because there's the confusion of the whole format thing. But put that aside, the action we saw on the track at the All-Star race, should we expect to see the same kind of action, same kind of racing? And will this be a different 600? I know in years past, and you talked a little bit about this on Monday night on Rubbing His Racing, usually the middle of the race kind of gets, kind of on the dull side. There's not a lot of action going on. Should we see a different 600 this year with the tire that Goodyear brought and the downforce package?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I haven't heard that much about how the tire compound is working at Charlotte with the new low downforce package. I think I saw one post that said they thought the tire was still a little bit too hard of a compound, that it didn't wear as quickly or give up grip as quickly as Goodyear would want with this package. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's really going to be interesting to see on a long green flag run how much the tire gives up by itself. In the All-Star race this past weekend, in the All-Star race, there was about a second and a half difference between sticker tires and scuff tires. So there is a bit of a gap there. As the tire wears, as the tire wears, it does give up more grip and does slow your lap times down. So if you get a long run where your tires are about used up, and you'll see teams start pitting, and then you've got cars on the track running scuff tires, cars on the track running sticker tires, and a second and a half difference in lap speed is a pretty big deal. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out under green. Under caution, it's not going to be that big a deal. Everybody's going to come in, pit when they can, get 4 fresh tires, and go back out. So everybody will pretty much be on the same footing then. But on a long green flag run, that's what I'm looking at, just to see, how much the tire is going to drop off, because they didn't run a real long green flag run during the All-Star race. So I'm sure that teams are practicing now, and I'm sure they're they're running their practice tires a full fuel load, to get an idea of what to expect on Sunday with the changes that the car will go through between the tires giving up grip and losing rear downforce due to the weight drop from burning off the fuel. So it'll be something I'll be eyeballing.
I'm and everybody knows I'm a wow, just lost my train of thought. Kyle Busch and Danica fan, but I'm not going to lie. That is not what my eyes are going to be on tonight or on Sunday night. I'm going to be watching Kyle Larson after seeing him put on the performance in the race to get in, whatever they call it now. I forget. To out battle Chase Elliott to get into the All-Star race. And seeing him lay it on the line, yes, he smacked the wall, and he unfortunately ended up having a 10th-place finisher. So I am very curious to see if they can get that car set up so he can be one of those contenders up front and see what he can do in the 600-mile race.
Yeah, that's one of the tracks that he hasn't picked up a trophy from is Charlotte. So, he is the defending Cup champion, and in my opinion, he's a hell of a driver. And he's definitely one of the best diagnostic drivers.
No. Kyle Larson.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I definitely my eyes, regardless of who my favorite driver is, my eyes are going to be on Kyle Larson after watching him put that performance down last week in the All-Star weekend. I want to know if Chip Ganassi can get him a car that is going to make him as competitive as he was last week, and see if he can finally put that car into victory lane, put that 42 target into victory lane. That's who I'm going to be watching this weekend.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was typing a message again. The thing about Kyle Larson is after this past weekend, the question has changed from if he'll win a race to when he'll win a race. He has become a definite contender to win. He does have the ability, and Ganassi Racing does occasionally show up, with a race-winning car. So it's just going to be, to me, it's just a matter of time before the combination is right for him to find victory lane. I think he will. Charlotte would be a good place for it to happen. Kyle Larson likes fast racetracks with a high groove, and Charlotte definitely fits that bill. So this could be the weekend right here. This could be when it happens. I hope so. I think it'll legitimize Kyle Larson as, a force to be reckoned with in the coming years in Cup racing. So,
and like Monday night, NASCAR needs to watch out, because once that 42 team figures out how to get that thing into victory lane, I don't think it's just going to be a one-time occurrence. I think that 42 car is going to fill in victory lane quite often once they figure it out.
Yeah, that second victory is usually a lot easier to come by than that first one. Once you get that first one, it just seems like momentum changes, attitude changes, and things like that make it easier. I don't want to say easier, because it's never easy to win, but it does make it easier to get that second victory after you've accomplished it the first time. So
when you got that confidence,
there's a lot of storylines going on and a lot of drivers to watch Sunday evening. So people, if you're still listening, tune in and check it out, and we'll see what happens then. Well, through technical difficulties, we hadn't been able to talk to anybody we had scheduled to be on the show tonight. I did send a message to Sarah that I would get all this worked out and we'd get her back on next week. So look for us to continue this next Thursday night with Sarah Walker, and we'll see if we can get somebody else to line up with her. Anything else you want to touch base on, CJ?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, me either. And listeners, if you're still listening, I appreciate it, and I'm sorry that it wasn't a better show than it was, but trust us, this is a bump in the road. We'll do a lot better next week. So we're going to get out of here. Tune us in every Thursday night, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, for Racing with Big Sweat, where we concentrate on local short track racing. We've done pretty much NASCAR all night tonight, but that is a rare exception to the rule. We're really all about local short track racing. And if you know a driver that could use a shout out, could use a opportunity to help locate a sponsor or give his sponsor a shout out over the radio, send me a message. Let me know, and I'll get them on the show for you. I promise you that. You can PM me at Steve Billmyer. You can message me at Racing with Big Sweat Facebook group. You can message me at my other racing group, NASCAR and Other Racing. So just send me the word, and we'll get them on, and hopefully we'll come up with a better show than we had tonight. All right, folks, thanks again. CJ, I'll be in touch, bud. We'll talk to you later.
Good night.
Night.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing has turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge? Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.